Alright, welcome everyone. Just having some troubles here with the stream, so let me see if it's all working properly. Just a bit of technical issues as it sometimes happens. Okay, I think we're good. It's all coming through. Bit bizarre. I usually just click the stream button and it starts streaming, but then I did it and it wasn't doing it, so very odd. Alright, welcome to the Eurotrade, everyone. It is Tuesday, so we're gonna have a look at what we have today. It does look like gold is moving, so I'm gonna focus my attention on gold today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Marcus Stalker D. I've been trading for 18 years, 13 years out of that I've been a pro prop trader for various prop firms. I've actually been with Topstep in some form for about 10 years. So I first met Hogue and Eddie when I became their first female funded trader ever back in the day. And yeah, so this week we have a few things going on, very interesting stuff, interesting developments. So first and foremost, we've got some housekeeping to do. Very exciting news, right? So you guys know whatever people say, but we are on a mission to help more traders get paid, right? And this starts today. It definitely starts today. Now, you normally need over $200 for 5 days to request a payout. That amount is now coming down to $150, okay? So that's $50 less per day, and then across the 5 days is $250 less to qualify for a payout. Now, this might seem like a tiny change to some people, but this actually will have a pretty big impact, especially if you're somebody who trades micros, and for base hit traders. You know, if you're just somebody who takes base hits, you know, quick in and out, and then you end your day. So you're one of the disciplined scalpers, you do 2 or 3 trades per day, get it to, you know, 150, 200, you're done. This will be a massive impact for you. So stay tuned. This is just the beginning of the stuff that we are starting to do for the future. And, you know, despite what some people might say, we've got your back. We've got your back, right? We all know that a lot of people get pulled into certain let's call them cost-effective evaluations, but they don't really look ahead to any kind of winning policies. And I'm of the opinion that the payout policy and any extortionately difficult consistency rules, that's the first thing you should look at, right? If you're trading at any prop firm, the idea is that we want to get paid. So if any firm is making that part very difficult, clearly there are things that are not maybe being done correctly. But yeah, so we don't have any, you know, payout windows, you know, to trade for a month and then trade 10 days and then, you know, only do consistency for that time period. That's very, very complicated, right? So we're trying to simplify everything. We don't have payout consistency targets, and I don't think we ever will. There's no, you know, hidden performance metrics. We generally have always built the payout policies according to how traders trade. You know, even here we're one of the few firms that allows automation. Like you can have robots. Many other firms don't do that. But because the rules are so simple, you don't have to worry about consistency rules. You don't have to worry about anything else but your setups and your own rules, right? So if you hit 5 days of $150 for 5 days or more, you can request your payout, okay? So that's a very, very good thing. Now, let's talk about the VIP. Now, VIP coaching is coming. Another season is coming. And my team is going to be drafted tomorrow. towards the end of fast markets. So it's going to be my time, that's like 4:30 p.m. So about half an hour before fast markets ends, we will know which 50 traders are going to be in my team. Super exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and working together to tidy up some of the things that might be malfunctioning right now, and to be your guide on how you can make your own approach more consistent. All right. So yeah, tune in tomorrow to find out who's going to be in my team. Gamble bonus word says dobro jutro Deeyana. Dobro jutro. Gamble bonus, kako si? They're saying all my trades hit my take profit on 4 accounts on NQ and on gold. I'm happy. 1 more account passed. Well done. That's what we want to hear. Now take it slow. Don't rush. One thing that I like to do with any evaluations is to be a bit more aggressive in the eval, and then a little bit more grasshoppery in the eval. But when it comes to my funded accounts, I generally size all of that down. So if I'm trading 2, 3, 4 lots in my evals, I will definitely start either with 5 micros if it's like a smaller account or 50k, or with 1 mini if it's a bigger account. Right, let's have a look at what this gold is doing. We have some interesting developments here with the levels. Let's start with the value area. So we're going to first focus on the London value from yesterday. Now, London value from yesterday on gold was very, very small. So not really that great for any kind of value acceptance trades, but we are opening below value, and this run up was an attempted move to basically go back into a mean reversion back towards the distribution curve, which is the value area. So now, whenever the market is so far away from it, it's a little bit difficult to expect the full mean reversion to value. So you need some other levels there just to make sure that if they run out of steam ahead of the time, that you can maybe go with the open. So you have a pullback, then the market makers do their thing to remain delta neutral, and they hit one of these major levels and they start to go back. Now, which of those levels is going to hit, that is anyone's guess, but you know, obviously we look at price action, and right now I am seeing this HVL from the 0 DTE options giving us a bit of jip. I'm not gonna lie, right? So we're struggling, tried to go higher, tried to go a little bit bouncy here, but now we seem to be firmly below it. So maybe a short. Let's wait for another 5 minutes, and hopefully this won't move too quickly down, because I want to have this strong bearish engulfing just to ensure that the HVL is actually truly giving us the bleed. Otherwise we might just run it up over the HVL and then go all the way back to London value. So we don't want to be rushing into trades that are effectively against whatever is going on right now. Typically around about this time of the day, London tends to slow down, and then we have the London Metal Exchange opening at 11:14 a.m. my time, which is going to be in about 2 hours. So until then, it's a little bit sketchy time of the day. Again, I would prefer if we had DAX here. We are still working on it. Like I said, there have been a few issues with the conversion from euros into the USD dashboard, because DAX trades in euros per take, so obviously they need a very good way to not mess the P&L up and to make sure everything is working properly. But it will come at some point, you know. I can wait. I'm patient. I'm a trader, so no problem. And I ain't going anywhere. So yeah. Alright, let's have a look at Bookmap for a quick second. I'm seeing a few bigger orders still lining up around that 33.25 level. And every time I sort of come up to it, they initiate a bit of shorts around there. Every time I'm trading micros, also something to note, I like to have a full contract dome, because micros, they're a derivative of this thing, right? So whatever they do, these guys are going to be kind of following, and it doesn't always give you the clearest picture of what is actually happening with the order flow. So here you can see 18 contracts sitting at 33.25. It's not the biggest. It's not the biggest. I would like that to be more, but we are in the summertime. So summer doldrums can definitely put a wrench in the works, because anytime you have somebody with a bigger order, they can just take the majority of the order book. But we keep getting more and more people here with some bigger orders. However, I do want to see them move away from that and then firmly be below this 33.25. Otherwise, we're just going to keep shooting higher. And I don't like trading into options levels. Sometimes it might seem like they're accelerators, but usually even if they run through it, there's a pretty nasty reversal right after. We saw that in platinum. I really had an idea that platinum yesterday is going to react from 1450, but for some weird reason they actually reacted from 1465 and then just completely ran it back down. I did say also, so let's have a look at platinum yesterday. So I also said it had a fairly good chance of reaching 1425. So that was my initial idea. These levels are from yesterday. And we had another minor options level, which I believe yesterday was like a GEX 7 or something. There's a complete number that doesn't normally do too much unless it's very late in the day. But it was basically this level that reacted, and sure enough, it just went down. So it was the right idea, just maybe not the right price. And that's okay. It's absolutely fine. Sometimes that happens too. Most of the times GEX 1, 2, and 3, along with core resistances and HVLs, they will be your primary reversal points until we get to sort of these larger areas of quantitative extremes. So this one is 8-year high on gold. And as you can see, we have plenty of space for gold to go up if we're just looking at the intraday extreme. Now, using these levels as a level, that is actually my concept. Usually the average daily range, people use it. If you see this oscillator at the bottom that I have, this thing. Let me remove my face so you can see it better. So if you see this thing, that is how normal people do ADR or ATR and ADR. They're very similar measures, but effectively the idea is that you look at kind of like 14 previous periods on the day, and then you get an idea of what the movement is. So that's like your traditional way of using it. But I created a twist on that because I was like, yeah, that's great. But at the time I was a swing trader. So I actually looked at 10 to 14 days, and then I would plot the lines on the chart, and I started noticing the prices very frequently run to those levels and then they stop on most of the days. Like obviously you can have outlier days when we just shoot through it, but that's an outlier. It's not the norm. And my swing point starting points, they were usually after the prices would exhaust that on the day, create some kind of a consolidation. I would initiate a swing trade and then I would hold it. So that was like a major timing strategy that I had. And then when I became an intraday trader, well, I noticed something similar was going on. I was like, hold on a minute, can I use these as levels? And I actually have a very particular way that I calculate them, which is the reason why I have my own indicators that are dynamic, right? Some people who are trying to create ADR high-low because they've seen it from me, they calculated wrong. They basically do something called the fixed daily range, where you take the Globex open, take the 14 days, and they partial it half up, half down from the mean average number, and then they think that that's it. But that is only useful in quiet markets, which arguably we might have now. So it could still work. And if I look at the fixed average daily range high, in that respect, it's actually hitting right at this London value low, right where this little box is. Okay, so that's the first step. Now the second step that I want you to focus on is in fact these quantitative extremes that I just explained how I use. The idea is that at any point of the day, if you're going to run a high probability trade, you want these levels to be reached sometime after initial balance of COMEX, because COMEX is the biggest volume for gold in particular, and it's the best time of day. I'm very big on time of day to shoot for some kind of reversal. I call those setups post NY cut because there's a thing called the forex option expiry. Gold is connected to the Australian dollar because why? Australia is one of the biggest exporters of gold, so naturally they have a connection. So if you have a very big Australian dollar option expiry in and around that time, it causes a hell of a lot of option exercising, and then it basically creates this intraday move. If the options are small, that effect is going to be muted, but I've always had some sort of options activity connection in my trading. And with that, let's segue into what these other weird levels are on my chart. Those of you who have been with me, you know that I like to use options levels with higher interest. I typically focus primarily on put supports, core resistances, and GEX 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes if I have an HVL, which is basically a point where gamma exposure can flip from positive to negative and negative to positive, but in like just practically whenever we run into an HVL, for the first test, it usually gives a pullback. Sometimes the prices never actually return to that point, so it can be like a midpoint of, it obviously depends where it's located, but it can be like a midpoint of a reversal intraday if you have nothing else to fall back on. But obviously we need to wait for the price action to fall back below it and to reclaim it with quite some strength. Right now I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing that classic sideways movement that we usually hit around this time of day. So yeah, hit me with questions. If you do have any questions, very happy to answer those. And I will be showing you my stats, and you know, I've been struggling in July. I can, you know, say that with quite some openness, if you will, because the markets have been kind of lackluster. Copper is usually my weapon of choice, but it's been you know, it's been kind of quiet, and yeah, it's this is what we're working with. So I'm still well within my own long-term sort of win rate. Actually, I'm doing a little bit better because normally I have about 43% accuracy, but profit factor and average win-loss are usually much bigger to account for the lower accuracy. And again, pick your poison. You know, I prefer to catch more ticks. Just being a perfectionist, you know, I want to catch a bigger piece of the trend for the day if there is any major move, so I try to get as much as I can. But still, even though I've been struggling and not really trading too actively on this account, still sitting at, you know, around 51% with profit factor still a little bit higher than that 1-to-1. I'm usually aiming for 2R multiples, do or die. So I don't really subscribe to the whole 3R intraday because I think that's too much for intraday, and you will miss out on so many perfectly fine, statistically viable targets like 1.3R, 1.5R, and yes, sometimes 1.1 if we have a range bound day, not a big range to work with. Your risk reward needs to live and breathe, to ebb and flow with whatever the market is giving you. You know, if you have a range bound day with a tighter range, why are you still shooting for 3Rs? It's like, really? You know, we need to make sure that we are matching the strategy to the expectancy of the day. So if there is a mean reversion, go for it. Hey, increase it to 4 and 5. You know, use that situational awareness, or work on developing the situational awareness in order to get better. And then let's have a look at my trade duration analysis. These two are basically mistakes, right? I entered thinking I was in 3 micros. It was actually 3 minis, so I immediately killed that within the first minute. So that's not much to glean from. 1 to 2 minutes. Only a couple of trades there. Again, I would be entering those, and then if it immediately draws back like more than half the amount of stop loss that I'm using, I will typically just kill that trade and see whether I can, be a little bit more proactive. A little bit more difficult to do when I'm doing all of this, because there's a lot of stuff going on. So, my attention arguably is not what it used to be when I was, a little bit younger. Because I will be 45 this year, so I'm not exactly a spring chicken. I mean, I'm not old, but I'm not exactly young either. So sort of that weird sort of mid-40s when your eyes start to go. And I'm definitely feeling that. I'm actually going to the optician, not this week, but next week, because I think I need varifocals. Like my near sight is crap. I can't see that well further out. And I'm like, really struggling. So I've made, you will notice that my fonts are massive because I was struggling to see. I was like, what is this price? I don't understand. So you will notice that most of my trades are kind of sitting in the range between 10 to 30 minutes and then 1 to 2 hours. And then I've actually had a few of them that were swing trades, and they lasted for 2 to 4 hours. But again, not too many because of the summertime, and it's just been, very difficult holding anything for super long times during my hours, so during the London session and during COMEX. So it's mostly just been opportunistic trades, like say a failed auction or some kind of a reversal on natural gas towards the last half an hour of NYMEX, and then that will be the trade, right? So that's definitely reflected in all of this. And then, a little bit patchy on the P&L, but most of the winning days definitely bigger than the losing days, right? So that is what you want to be doing. If you become my my VIP, my chameleonaire, because that is the name of my group, chameleonaires. Obviously got a lizard in the background. Bob sitting there just going, are you grasshoppering? We eat grasshoppers for breakfast. But yeah, I want you to focus on the fact that your losing days really need to be smaller than your winning days. If you cannot generate over $1,000, $3,000, over $1,000, you have no business, like absolutely no business, losing 3K, 4K on the day, okay? No business. So if you lock that down, if you really kind of go, right, I'm not going to allow myself to, to lose more than I can possibly generate and win. Or let's do another calculation. If you're not able to make like 2 or 3 good days before you then get hit on the head or the chin, that also works. So if you add up 2 of these days, maybe divide, like let's say that you usually get streaks of about 3 days. And then disaster ensues. Well, lock down that disaster and look for patterns. Look at your stats. Luckily, in the XFAs and in the combines, you have these stats. We don't really have them on live yet because, they're still working. It's a different server. But at some point, we will have it. However, most of you, this won't apply. The live account won't apply for most of you. But yeah, so this is something that you might want to consider if you're trying to improve your trading. And this is a patchy month for me. I try to kind of replicate most of the things that I do on combines in my live as well, but only on a smaller size maybe. And you can still see that I don't trade that much. My biggest sort of high volume day, there was a lot of stuff going on this Friday. So I did 13 trades. Whoa, that's a lot of trading for me. So, yeah, I'm, of the opinion, quality over quantity, regardless of what style you have. And you see some of the best scalpers out there, they will do like 3 to 5 trades per day. And they're very, very selective with what sort of scalps they're going to be doing. But if you're sitting here and just smashing 100 trades per day and wondering why this is not happening, first of all, commissions on live accounts. If you try to do that in a personal brokerage account, it's just going to eat up into your profits. You know, but you know, just and usually it's the more novice traders that go for more trades. The longer that you trade, the more you get tired of that nonsense of, oh, you have to sit here for 8 hours and do trade after trade after trade. Like, you don't want another prison, right? You want trading to give you more resources, more profits, and more time. Time is the biggest ever commodity that you can possibly imagine, right? And if you are just locked in all day, every day, and you're not seeing any progress, you're not making more money. In fact, you're making no money, not getting payouts, constantly failing XFAs. That needs to change, guys. It needs to change. You can't just keep doing the same thing, not changing anything, and just expecting a miracle to happen, right? So change nothing and nothing changes. That's something I always like to say. It's a very good saying, very old saying, but very, very applicable to many, many things, including trading. So yeah, let's have a look at the chat while I was on this little rant. But yeah, it's just it's just something to think about, right? All right, so chat likes the update. Yeah, absolutely great for micro traders, the micro army. Rocking 00 TJ. Okay. Good morning, D. I'm long GC from 3315. Let's have a look. 3315. You know what? I mean, if they don't manage to get more momentum from 3325, so we really need to stay for your trade to keep working. Because I'm never going to say to somebody, oh, that's a really crappy idea. No, you're in a good trade, and I will always discuss the trade, irrespective of what I think I should be doing here, right? You're already in a trade. Let's discuss it. 33.15, there was a nice long, that was basically a sustained auction from the London initial balance. So well done on catching a sustained auction. So here was the initial balance from London. We actually held the Asia high. That's interesting. And then we had a nice slow breakout in, well, no, this was actually the initial balance. So this is a 15-minute chart, sorry. Right, let me just do 5 micros here as well. Gonna be using a 45 tick stop because I'm talking and whatever. But basically, very, very nice run up. We are in a precarious area. But again, this is not a signal service. We posted that that disclosure, risk disclosure. You're basically looking for this to hold above 33.25. If it doesn't, if it just, you know, makes a lower low below 33.23, that, to me, if I was in that trade, would be the sign that I should kill the trade and just take whatever I've got. Because this was a very, very good run up, right? This was a trade that effectively brought you almost 100 ticks, right? At its highest MFE. Yeah, no, it's over 100 ticks. So just grab that, be happy, start your day with, you know, a nice run. To me, that would be a very, very decent trade. Very decent trade. So I wouldn't be looking for more. A, because we did hit a fairly major level from the 0 DTs. B, we are in rollover. So we're rolling into December, into D's contract. And yeah. Trader Can says, good morning. Apologies if I missed it. Can we go over the levels? Thank you. Oh, God. Tried to use Topstep daily levels, but it seemed off. Okay, so if you're trading this early on, just know that Topstep daily levels are actually done by JD. So it's not like some magical indicator where you know, it just appears. JD actually has to put it in a spreadsheet, and then it gets inputted into Topstep X. So much like I do my levels here, that's exactly what JD does. And I can give you NQ levels. I don't trade NQ levels, so I'm not going to be doing any analysis on it. Just know that. I'm just going to check whether this is actually updated, because I need to update. But yeah, I'm not going to be giving ideas on how to trade NQ, because I'm not a core NQ trader. All right, NQ. Like sometimes I would pop in a trade very late in the day in NQ, but that's about it. So what sort of levels do you want? Do you want I don't think I can even have NQ here. Or it's just oh no, I do have it. Okay, interesting. I definitely don't have the full level 2 because I don't pay for it. Okay, NQ daily chart. Let's have a look at where the daily high, daily low were. Previous daily high, 23,585.25, and then the previous day's low, 23,436.75. So that would be the first thing to look at. And then the top step levels also state the previous week's high and low. Previous week's high, 23,477.75. Previous week's low, 23,109.25. Okay. Let's move on to some of my levels if that's what you're looking for. And I am going to focus on the major regular trading hours. So value high, 23,500. That's the value high. Value low, 23,457 and a quarter. Does that matter? Not much. Yesterday's settlement. Just let me make sure that the settlement is set correctly here. Yesterday's settlement, also on the value high, 23,500. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, that might mean mean reversion. I'm not gonna speculate because it's an equity index. It might just keep shooting up. I don't know. But yeah, I do feel there's some scope for a sell-off, especially with all the craziness that we've got going on. What else? Let me have a look at the options for you. So core resistance with the gamma wall, we've gone over that. Could be supportive, sitting at 23,550. But then you also, that's the 0 DTE still. Then you also have the longer dated options that are 23,500 core resistance. So yeah, that's still a level of interest. A whole bunch of levels underneath there. So we have an HVL at 490. Then we have another sort of put support level at 475. So this tells me that there will be some interest down there, and that if the market makers decide to adjust inventory, that could get pretty sticky for longs. But yeah, to the upside, GEX1, which is a stronger GEX level, is up at 23,700. Couple of minor GEX levels at 600, and then again at 650. But yeah, to the downside, GEX2 is at 23,400. And then I will give you the ADR and ASR. No, I can't give you the ASR because that only starts tracking it a bit later. But yeah, I can give you the overall 24-hour exhaustion points. They're quantitative extremes. So we have one at 23,682. That's ADR high, obviously. And then ADR low sitting all the way down at 23,435. But that 23,500, that looks really interesting to me for further longs if we don't break it. And if we get a pretty decent move downwards, that would definitely be like fishing for, at least for me, I would be trying to fish for longs. And then if it breaks into a value acceptance, then just, you know, leave it alone. Or hopefully you will be on the mean reversion if you can read the market properly. But yeah. All right. So hopefully those are your NQ levels. That's the levels that I look at. So yeah. Khadija says CL made a nice move up. Yeah, that was all headline risk. Crude oil doesn't seem to move unless Trump says something. And then it has like a 200 day. I actually have a little long put option right around 67.25. So we'll see how that works. I really hate trading crude oil outright. Honestly, I just can't be I can't be dealing with it, because it's like most days are like 100 ticks range, 100, and then Trump opens his mouth and then, oh, Putin, and then it goes up 300 or down 300. But it's so dependent on that headline risk, and I just don't like it anymore. I prefer to go to the markets that move every single day, or most of the days, rather than, you know, sitting there waiting for Trump to say something and they go, all right. Terrible, right? Right, so this little sell-off from 33.25 is doing pretty well. Since gold has a nasty way of just whipping back up, I am going to protect this. Don't like moving things to break even very often, but technically this is now an auction fade, which again, it's my concept for the times when we move further out from some of these areas. And actually I'm going to take that because of this structure here. This is really called the 3 inside down, and typically when we bleed through bleed away from it, that's the biggest move you're going to get. It's not the pattern itself. When I was looking at it probabilistically, because I have a little kind of counting algorithm to see how many times does this pattern, which kind of looks like an evening star, let's face it. It looks like an evening star, but it's not exactly an evening star. Why? Because the middle candle is not a doji. So this is more of a 3 inside down pattern. And usually by the end of the third candle, that's all you're going to get. Then they whip it back up. So I combine that with what sort of a level are we actually rejecting. Now, HVL on the first try, it does give a reversal. Like I said, on some cases, it never comes back. But most of the time, there will be another test of the HVL and then a break. So, you know, this mean reversion is still quite possibly on. Pretty serious reversal, because we've just come off that high by about 80 ticks. That's a big reversal. So I just want to, you know, this was more like a scalp, just to see whether we can get a little bit of a movement away from it. And I also didn't like that some buyers are coming in on Bookmap, and Delta has turned positive, so that's never a good sign for further longs. And coupled with the fact that I know probabilistically that the 3 inside down on a 30-minute chart does not generally tend to bring any more further movement, I've decided to take off the trade and just make it into a scalp and see where we get to. Obviously, smaller size for scalps for me. Whenever I'm expecting the days to be a little bit sketchy. Summertime always means size down. So yeah, we'll see. I don't even know whether I'm going to trade my live account today. I am on Lunchbox trading, but I think I'm just going to stay on Combines. I want to remove the risk completely. So yeah, I might pop in, you know, a trade maybe on natural gas if it's still moving, but natural gas has not been moving that much recently for my sort of time zone. It moves sort of overnight. And for London, but I hate trading in for London. I literally have no stats to support it. That's like a new thing. So what am I trading? Like, I don't know. I like to trade through stats. I'm a systematic trader. So if I can't find a decent sample size of like how much does natural gas move during London? Well, it just started moving like a few months ago. So that's like, it was completely dead for all the years that I've been looking at it. And there they are. Delta continuing to rise. Positive delta of 205 on the main GC contract. So yeah, that was nice little scalp there. Hi D, Topstep doesn't have micro DAX available to trade. Not yet. Stuck you. Not yet. I've been, you know, asking for it for over a year. Now, from what I understood, is that they had some pretty big issues with because you know that euro, the DAX trades in euros per tick, right? So they would need to have a piece of code that will, in real time, look at the Forex feed and then convert that as we have USD dashboards and everything is in USD, right? So if that's not working, that can actually pretty badly screw up the dashboard P&L. And yeah, so so yeah, it's one of those things. We just have to wait. I actually did have a small chat with Danielle. She kind of runs everything, and she said that they are working on it. They're still working on it. It's just that there have been so many different features. And remember that up until very recently, we had like 1 million platforms that we were supporting, and that didn't exactly leave a lot of room. Like, if people think that running a prop firm infrastructure is as simple as just kind of, oh, you just offer all of these platforms and then it's fine. First of all, every time you buy a platform access as a prop firm, that's a ludicrous amount of money in license fees, first and foremost. So it costs a lot to get the licensing for the admin side, for the infrastructure for the prop firm, so you can do payouts, you can do dashboards, you can do pull data from it. That's not cheap, right? It's like sometimes it's like $250,000 a year just for one platform, just for the most basic features. Okay? And then you have to support all of the people who are trading on those platforms. So that means if something goes wrong with Rhythmic, suddenly we have 1 million tickets coming through, and then we have like all of these other platforms to deal with. So it's like, and people are like, oh, you don't have TPOs, or you don't have the Delta, or you don't have this. Yeah, because we were, excuse my language, but we were messing around, dicking around with all these other platforms. And I actually am not, like, first of all, I'm very old school. So when I changed prop firms, every time I changed prop firms, each prop firm had their own chosen platform. And some of the bigger ones, they actually had their own systems that they created from something that was already there, but they literally like created it almost from the ground up to make it their own, because they had their own requirements, right? And that's nothing unusual. So, you know, the fact that Topstep is going down the route of branding things, I know that it's been seen, like, we're so spoiled these days that, you know, we want all of our indicators on a single platform. Like, when I started, let's go back to 1941. 2013. But when I started in prop, and I got my first live account through a prop firm, they literally just gave me a CQG that legitimately looked. So I'll just show you. Let's add a few more domes here to give you a true experience of how it used to be. There you go. Plopping a few domes here and there. So let's say we've got CL. Let's say we've got platinum, for example. Let's go natural gas. And what else can we plop in there? Let's plop an index. So YM. So I got my live account. I open up the platform and get hit with this. So it's like, and I came from swing trading, charts, right? Daily charts. So I was like, where's the chart? And they went, no, this is like the CQG, like the execution platform. And I was like, yeah, but the chart. And they said, well, if you want a chart, that's actually an extra different CQG charting platform. And it costs an arm and a leg. It was like, I mean, not that much nowadays for me, but I think back then it was like, I think it was like just for the basic features, it was like 500. And then if you wanted, you know, market profile, if you wanted this, if you wanted that went up to like 1,500 per month in fees. And if you just wanted a cheapo access, you know, whatever, level 2, this is all you would get. So now we have the Gen Z, whatever the name is, Gen Z. And you guys want everything on the same platform, every single tool that you've ever seen, you want it all on the same platform right now, yesterday. You don't have to have it all on the same platform, okay? So I've been somebody who's traded for 18 years. I have my own tools that I like to use, right? Am I going to force Topstep and Strong on them into getting, you know, every single tool that I use? No. If they ever open it up for third-party vendors to actually create indicators, I'll be the one bringing my own Blotech indicators to Topstep X. I'm very open to that. But I'm not going to be creating every single tool that I use for them. You know, it's just going to be like, well, I have to look at, you know, I don't know. You know, TradingView and MentorQ on another platform. Not a big deal. And it shouldn't be a big deal. You know, like Bookmap. I'll never not look at Bookmap. And what? Am I going to ask Topstep to create Bookmap, their version of Bookmap, when it already exists? Like, why? Why? Do I use Edgeful? So I did use Edgeful. Like I do like what they've done. I actually asked Andre to add some of the stuff that I was using, but I see that they've now removed that. So it's like, it's a little bit annoying. They had the TPO gap fill by value. So I used to use that a lot. But they, for some reason, don't have that now. They do have FVGs, though, which I find quite interesting. So I don't know. I'm in two minds. I have my own statistical algorithms. You know, every time I need to create something, I do have the skills to just, I call them my counting algorithms. So they're not algorithms that are going to run trades for you. But for example, I want to see how many times 70 ticks move after a bearish or bullish engulfing reversal got hit over a period of 40 days. So that then gives me the stats of how much follow through should I expect on any given trade, right? This is also a reason why I stick to 70 to 100 ticks profit on most of my trades, because that is, for most products that have like reasonably normal ranges, that is something that will get hit fairly frequently if you have a overall daily range of around 250 to 300 ticks. And it also assumes that you're using a 35 to 45 tick stop, and that particular trade is going to have decent follow through after the 30-minute time frame gives you that entry signal. So those are some of the specs and conditions that I like to put into my code. And then I just go, well, give me how many times this has happened, give me the biggest follow through that we've had, and then count the average of all of the follow throughs. What is the average number that will get reached and how many percentages that got reached by? And then it will say, well, we had X amount of trades that got reached 70 to 100 ticks. So let's say 65% of them reached that. Then we had, 3 days where we went massively overshooting and it reached like 400. So that's an outlier day. And then it will also say, well, actually in July, we had quite a few days on copper, for example, that barely had any movement. And the biggest, most frequent follow through was only like 30 ticks. And even that was a stretch. So we're definitely going through some summer doldrums in certain products, but gold doesn't tend to suffer as much from that. So there's still quite a bit of movement. So yeah. Surveys 777 says, how do you get sell? So bid and ask data on your platform. I have the one that jumps all around. That jumps around all the time. Well, I have level 2. I mean, the DOM depth of market ladder will be different everywhere. But if you're on NQ, yeah, that would be pretty bloody jumpy, because NQ is a seizure-inducing product, which is also one of the major reasons why I don't like it. I really hate it, like, just because of that. Like, if, just wonder whether I have a platform open with another DOM. I mean, NQ is actually pretty calm right now, because it's not, obviously it's not active trading hours, so it's not going to be as nuts as it normally is. But yeah, if you're staring at the NQ DOM, that is one of the major reasons why you lose control emotionally, because it's so quick and so like we had Kelvin here one time early a few months ago, And I said I don't like trading NQ because of that. And I think as a trader, emotional control while you're in a trade matters a lot more, and is a part of your strategy, right? And to which he responded, yeah, but us NQ crazies, we just love trading, with, how did he put it? With something in their teeth and then their hair on fire. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And this is the reason why whilst NQ giveth and NQ taketh is an actually very good way to put that product. Yes, it's fast, but I would argue that for 90% of people, Nasdaq is not going to be suitable. If you're somebody who struggles with overtrading, just naturally struggles with overtrading, it is a problem for most people, but it seems to exacerbate this even in people that don't have any issues. Now, yesterday we had Coach Ray's VIP team that got drafted, and I actually had a pleasure to work with Ray as from a point of view of him being my student, and then he was so good and he became so good so quickly that I actually hired him to be a Market Stoker's coach for a while. And then after that, he left me for Topstep. But then here we are both with Topstep. So, it's so cool to see people develop their own skills. And, he's a teacher as well. And he's a technical guy anyways. That was IT was his background. He worked for some very big blue chip companies as well. So he is one of the examples where he's an excellent trader, super patient, probably one of the most controlled people that I've ever met, never gets annoyed, very calm. He can get passionate about, talking, but generally he is one of the calmest people that I've ever met in my life. NQ was messing him up. He came to me as an NQ trader and he couldn't make it work. He was like, so I looked at his trades and I'm like, these trades are actually like good ideas. Like, I don't think your analysis is the problem here. And I suggested to him to move to GC and CL, so gold and crude oil, because back then I met him in 2019. Those two were moving crazily. It was like the good old days, right? Literally within a month, Ray became who he is today. Like, it didn't even take much time, and all it took was a product change. So it wasn't that, oh yeah, he's a terrible trader. No, it was actually NQ messing with his emotions. So think about that. If NQ is messing with you and you're actually a pretty decent trader, what the hell are you doing trading NQ? Trade YM. It moves fast, but it's not nearly as crazy. It's not going to give you a seizure when you look at the dome and when you look at the open. And yet it still gives a fair amount of ticks. I know that YM gets a lot of stick because there is the boomer index. Yeah, I don't care what it is. Like, from a trading point of view, I want something that is smooth, that enables you to maintain emotional control over yourself while you're in a trade, and then decide whether you're going to hold a trade or whether you want to maybe bail. Like yesterday, I was actually, like, somebody was trading NQ from my student side on my own personal coaching, and I was watching NQ and watching YM. And we can actually do that comparison now. So let me just save this as a default, and then I'm going to add 2 more charts here. So let's go like this. Since I'm not in any active trades, let's just get rid of the dome and then make this bigger, and then we're gonna move to YM. So I was looking at both of them yesterday. So we're gonna go to the maybe 15-minute chart, and we're gonna go to power hour yesterday. Same time of day, right? We're looking at this area. Now, NQ stayed range bound, making everybody's hair crawl. Like, this is accumulation. If you use Wyckoff, this is called accumulation. Whenever I see this, I'm actually glad to see it because I know that I'm going to get this sort of a move. But look at the drama. Look at the amount of wicks and the amount of non-committal movement just on a 15-minute chart. And if we go down to a 5-minute chart, it gets even worse, right? Gets even worse. It was disgusting. It had so many wicks, so many things that were just not happening and not happening and not happening. And yet, ultimately, YM actually gave us the direction. So whilst NQ was stuck in like a, I don't know, 5-10 point range, this one gave us really nice, clean push outside of the range. Yes, there was a little bit of a, it was a consolidation. That's fine. But then as it started to go into a breakout, it's like this one does a doji when YM did a very nice breakout. So that's the same point of the day. See that? 5-minute chart, same time of the day. So YM, more movement, whereas NQ, I'm not going. Like a stroppy child that's just like, throwing his toys at her bed. I don't want to go. I just want to stay here. I'm having fun. I'm having margaritas. Can I stay longer? Whereas YM is like, no, we're breaking out of the range. Like, you can stay, but we're going to go. And then already YM breaks out of the range. NQ still bloody stuck in range. Another doji while YM pushes higher. And then literally 10 minutes, so that MOC, that's when they started it. So what? Are you not supposed to trade power hour until the last 10 minutes? That could be a strategy. Like, in fact, I sometimes do that. But yesterday, because I was watching this YM trade, I did actually plop in a little YM trade on my personal account, and it did well. It just ran it up. So whilst NQ was struggling, and then barely got up to like 30 points in profit, which is a good profit. It's a good amount of profit. But at the same time, I do think the YM went a little bit further than that. So it's cleaner. My point about all of this is that it's a cleaner price action. So sometimes you will get the move in YM before it happens in NQ. And I know this because on one of the platforms, I look at all of the indexes, right? I look at DAX, I have YM, I have ES and NQ, and I look at all four of them on the same screen, okay? So I get a feel for how things are progressing and which one is starting to break out and lead and which ones are just stuck and doing absolutely nothing. So consider that when you're obsessed with NQ. But yeah, so jumping around, that's an NQ thing. It's not really a problem with the bid and ask. It's just that my products are not that jumpy. My products are smooth, and that's the reason why I trade them. So hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer as to why my dome is not jumping around like a bunny and like it's going through a grand mal epileptic seizure. And look at this GC, pulled all the way back up. So I would now expect to see, like right now Delta is sort of coming down, so I don't want to do anything here. But if it starts to break out, then maybe we might have a continuation up to, at the very least, 33.30. Not very happy with that profit margin. I want more, so I would want at least like 70 to 100 ticks profit margin availability. I mean, maybe I can squeeze it if I go up to the London value low. Do we have anything there? Yeah, so we don't really have anything other in the options chain. We have nothing up until 33.40. So yeah, maybe a break, continuation, and a move back up could be a a good thing. I just need positive delta to kind of start rising. And I also need some buyers to step in as well, so that would be fairly okay, we have a little bit. They're not exactly strong though. Oh, should we front run this? Let's front run it, but let's front run it with a smaller size maybe. Just want delta to kind of start also turning around. Otherwise, this is all just a whole bunch of nonsense. But yeah, let's see. Still some short-term selling happening. So that's obviously diminishing delta. Somebody's trying to sell here, but I don't think they're going to succeed. Because, you know, we fell a lot yesterday. It was like a massive, massive move. So it warrants some sort of a mean reversion back up. No, still some selling going on. All right, let's give it a little bit of time for delta to kind of chill and stop falling. Matt Hughes says, Jane Street was recently caught in India operating two entities. One bought up stocks and the other took large short positions, followed by the buyer dumping. The two entities worked together. I don't know why they did it through two entities. Maybe that's like some Indian laws, but like usually how the hedge funds work is that they stay market neutral, that, you know, they have to protect themselves. Yes, they need to generate profits, but the way they're generating profits, you know, you can generate profits from things like, you know, selling options premiums, for example. So I don't know whether that's an Indian law that you can't hedge positions, but I mean, if you own the firm, I like, why wouldn't you hedge? Like, I don't know. Arbadej says, sorry to ask, but what is delta and how do you check it? Delta is basically the indicator that tells you how many aggressive short-term positions are going through the market, and then it kind of aggregates that data and spews it out in a single number. So when the delta is negative, it means that there are more short sellers. Okay, there's a little bit of movement here, so more short-term, small sort of pea shooters like Hogue wants to, like Hogue calls us, small size traders that are effectively looking to enter the market. Now, delta can be either congruent with direction, which is what we have now. So right now, delta has jumped up a little bit. So now we just need some follow through, and obviously the 25 needs to break. So I am front running this. It might come back to bite me on the ass, on the beach, but we'll see. But yeah, a break through the HVL would be nice. And if you have delta divergence, which you can actually have during some very big sort of zombie rally days on something like ES, for example, you will have days that just keep trickling higher, and yet delta is negative. So what that means is that the short-term little guys keep selling, then getting run over, which fuels the zombie rally. So that really happens a lot, especially on quieter volume days, when everybody wants to short the top. You know, everybody wants to short the high, and then they get run over. Why? Because when you're shorting, what is your buy? What is your stop loss order? What is it? It's a buy order. Okay, so when you get stopped out, it's a buy. So that's why delta goes negative, because you actively shorted it, but then when you got stopped out, you push the market higher effectively. So the more people that do that, and there are times when all of the short-term aggressive speculators are going short, they're going short, getting run over. The delta keeps getting more and more negative. Prices getting higher and higher and higher. And then you get a huge just unwinding towards the end of the day. You can also have the days when the market is falling, and then you have people buying it, and the delta keeps going more and more positive, and then you get the short squeeze at the end of the day. That's how the short squeezes happen. So, you know, delta is a useful indicator if you kind of understand the logistics behind it, but it can be a little bit full on to get your head around. Because it's not as simple as like, oh, we just look for delta divergence, because it will be a matter of context. It will either go with the price action or against it. Like most of the time it's with the price action, but some days it might not be. So, you know, Right, let's see what they want to do here. They tried it, then stopped. Delta's still kind of holding, so we'll see. Kind of holding. Mohammed says orders are continuously getting absorbed. Yeah. Yeah, aggressive buyers or sellers, they're short-term speculators. That's considered aggressive buyers and sellers. They're usually people with smaller position sizes, basically like you and me, right? If you're in a live account, if you have a personal brokerage, we will be the ones usually on the wrong side getting run over. But no, I mean, I think our community is actually a lot more pro than that. You know, we're all trying to push our, our skills further. And we're kind of, I think, mid-range, most of you who are in the XFAs, you maybe getting payouts and stuff. We're not quite like the retail muppets that we see, who are just no analysis, no nothing, just pure degen trading. So, somebody said I should buy it. I met him in a pub. Somebody said I should buy S&P. So yeah, maybe it's the ones that are uneducated and just continuously go against the trend, especially the wrong times of the day. There are times of the day when, it will really kind of be logical to go against the trend. Usually that's into the euro close, into any other exchange close as well. Obviously MOC. And there are actually two algorithms that kick in. There's one that kicks in 10 minutes before the close and then another one 5 minutes before the close. So it's like, knowing these kind of important times of the day, it kind of helps you to make sure you're not doing too many stupid things. I actually have alarms that tell me, hey, Euro close time, or LME close time, which is actually 10 minutes after the Euro close. And that's why you see Euro close and then a huge move, usually in gold, platinum, copper, like all the metals are very, very sensitive to that. Hey Mo, I see you here. Did you want to join me someday? Because I know you're awake, but I don't know what your schedule is like and stuff. Are you open to that? I wouldn't mind having you here for a bit of a chit chat in the morning. Where can you get Delta? Well, there are Delta indicators. I get it just on Bookmap. So just a quick overview. So CVD, that's cumulative volume delta. So if you kind of zoom out, you will see when it's falling, when it's rising, and then you kind of try and match that up to whatever. And I always have it connected to a random demo account just to get like data. So yeah, it's a useful measure, especially if you're more on the short-term trading side. Right, that 25 is not breaking. It's really annoying. Come on, break. Bids are growing higher and aggressive market sell orders get absorbed. Yeah. Abed H says, I'm not in the market today. I locked myself in the morning. Excellent. Well done. Discipline. That's what we like to see. That is what we like to see. I mean, to be honest, if I, like back in the day when I didn't have like live streaming to do, and I had my own live streams before Topstep as well, so I did that for 2.5 years. I actually used to take the entirety of the August and halfway through July off because it was so dead, like watching paint dry, and then we had COVID and then everything went crazy. And since COVID, we've had pretty lively summers most years. We've had a lot of stuff happening. Election years tend to be pretty jumpy for the summertime. Mo says, yes, sure, I'm open. Just need to take the day off from work in the bank. I can manage that. Yeah. So let me know any day, like let's aim maybe for next week. So any day apart from Wednesday, because I have Jerome D on for the Neuro Wednesday, obviously. So anytime you can join me, Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, let me know. Awesome. I'd love to have you here. I love Mo. I think he's a very good trader. He's different than me, obviously, because he's more on the scalper side, and he's so entertaining. Like, I love listening to you, Mo. That time when you brought out the poster, sometimes all you need is $1 billion. This fell apart. That will stay with me till the day I die. Honestly, it's so good. Teo says, hello D, have you discussed gold earlier? That's all I'm discussing, man. MGC. That's what I'm trading today. You're sitting on your eyes or something. Like, I've been gold. And Teo comes in. Good morning, D. Have we discussed gold? Oh, man, you crack me up, man. Like, all of these. Look how detailed I was as well. Like, I drew all of these levels for you. I'm even in a second gold trade, which is, unheard of that I do 2 trades on this stream. But hey, we'll see. Come on, whip it up. Go through the 33.25. We have a big rejection from FVG. Let's call it, let's be like the cool kids, right? This is not single prints. This is the fair value gap, and then we dipped into it and decided to go back up. Again, same concept from market profile. Single prints, attempted single print fade, then a pullback into continued sustained auction. We just now need something to push it along. We still have it like less than an hour, so about 55 minutes before the LME opens. So I'm guessing if they're going to do something, they're probably going to do it after that. I'm glad I did that scalp to the downside, and now we're just stuck in a consolidation. But yeah, HVL should break at some point, and then maybe we finally get that full mean reversion back up to, I mean, at least 33.30. But on in the options chain, there's literally nothing until 33.40. So, we'll see. Price action and sufficient axioms will take you far. Yeah. Thanks, Bo. Slack me. Yeah, awessome. And by the way, I already asked Danielle if that would be okay, because I see you popping in here, and I was like, hold on a minute, Mo is awake. Because the problem that we have with Eurotrade is that nobody is awake. We have obviously Aaron's in Australia, but then by the time that Eurotrade opens, it's probably still quite late. Not that it's like sleeping time or anything. And then we have all the top steppers that are US based, and it's so torturous for them. Like, and I feel so bad as well. I'm like, yeah, come join me. And then you see they haven't slept, and I'm so worried about their health. And I'm like, oh God, I can't be doing that very often. Because, we work long hours anyways, and to then make them do even longer hours with no sleep. And they will do it, like, bless them. They will do it. They're like, sure, yeah, I'll join you. And they're like, yes, I haven't slept yet. I have a whole show to do. I can sleep for an hour. So yeah, I just feel so terrible doing that. And, Mo, you're over in the Middle East. So, you're 3 hours ahead, I think. Is that right? Ahead, or maybe 4 hours ahead of the UK. So yeah, you're awake. Like, I at least know it's a part of your day, so I'm not going to be putting you out too much. Growth driven. Good morning, lovely hair, D. Well, it's VIP draft week, so we have to do pink this time, right? It actually doesn't look as pink as it is in real life, because this camera has a bit of a filter on it, because we use filters, and it just kind of dulls it down, but then again it makes my skin look better. So it swings and roundabouts, because in the morning I can't be bothered with either my hair or too much makeup, so I just like wake up and just try and not scare small children, just enough not to scare small children is what I was trying to say. But yeah, in the morning doing too many things to my face is a bit torturous, especially because I have to spend 20 minutes doing the levels and everything. So yeah, as least amount of effort that looks presentable, that's what I'm aiming for. Yeah. It's 12:45 p.m. Yes, so you're only a couple of hours out. Awesome. Yeah. Next week, Aaron is moving back to Europe. Is he? So, I mean, he's from the UK. Is he moving back to UK? I need to ask him. RS says that's a great trading session. Thank you it's so much fun watching. Thank you very much, Deeyana. RS, thank you so much for spending time with me. I really appreciate you. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Jim Jack says, what would you do if you rarely or never feel comfortable trading, even though high win rate and profitability? The size has already been reduced to micros. Any advice? Maybe take a break. Jim, can I ask you how long you've been trading? Let's start with that. Gold's starting to look heavy. I don't think so. It's this big wick here. Yeah, Delta keeps bouncing up and down, but they're just glued to this area right now. I don't know. The fact that they couldn't hold it into like a confident bearish engulfing, and they bounced it off this what do the cool kids call it? FVG. Or as I call it, single print. At some point it should be continuation, but like I said at the beginning of the stream, it's this dead zone where LME is sort of not really open yet. London sort of did their thing, and then sometimes they don't even do that. They just wake up and go, oh, it's Monday, we're hungover, because they're British, right? And then we just have this dead zone for like 2 hours where it just does nothing before LME starts trading. It's great. Maria says Aaron is going to Spain first. Right, I see. Okay. Yeah, he's traveling a lot, isn't he? Yeah, so anytime somebody sells it, a few little buyers pop up. Look at that. Somebody sells it and they go, bah, bah, bah. Somebody sells it again, they go, bah, bah, bah. Like 2 hours, you know. There's a big dog that goes, woo, and then 2 hours go, woo, woo. Yeah, so Jim Jacks, how long have you been trading? Over 2 decades. Ah, I see. Do you know what? I think I'm in the same predicament as well. I'm just getting out of that funk because I got in a bit of a last year when crude oil died on me. I was just like, nothing is working. I was like, what is happening? So I was also going through the lack of confidence because I would enter a trade and then nothing was happening. And then I was like, okay, now I need to move to something else. So I moved to gold, and that actually brought me out of the crude oil drawdown. And then I found copper and platinum. So I was like, oh, okay, this is actually a new market. So I almost had like a renewed sense of a passion to find the stats for this new product. You say you have high win rate. I think maybe, Jim, it might be burnout. It might be burnout because if you just constantly stare at the charts. Do you still do journaling? Because I find huge comfort. Even after 18 years, I still find huge comfort in looking at my times of day when I've done well. And then times of day when it's a bit sucky. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should stay away from that. And that actually brought back the confidence that I know what I'm doing. Because, you know, this job is like so crazy. You spend years having such huge success. And, you know, I traded crazy lot sizes, man, back in the day. It's like, even you go back to like 2021, I was still on like 40 to 80 lots on like ES. Like, never mind. Because it was a lot of liquidity back in, like everything was flying around. So liquidity was not the problem. Like every Tom, Dick, and Harry and their mother turned into a day trader. And that meant that, you know, a lot of speculators, so no problem with any fills. So I rinsed those 2 years for as long as I could. But yeah, and then you get to a point where things are not working, so you size down. Or things are working, but somehow you're uncomfortable. Like, you know, some of the days where you're up on the day, but you're just thinking, man, I totally like mismanaged that. How the hell am I up on the day? Do you guys have those days? And I know what the problem is because I'm very systematic. So I know to explain and to see exactly what happened or didn't happen. And then I name all of my setups and I name all of the events and there's only about like 5 or 6 events that can happen in a day. You can have a sustained auction, clean, one-sided break. You can have an asymmetrical outlier day where it starts off as an auction on one side, then fails it, but then goes to the opposite side completely and continues just to kind of unwind. So I call them asymmetrical neutral days. But they're outliers. However, I can see them. I'm like, okay, well, that happened. I can explain it. Then you can have a standard D-shaped neutral day where it's equally extended on both sides of the initial balance, or of a range-bound day. You can have a sustained auction that goes into a mean reversion. So you basically run it up to a level, like I'm looking for a full return to the distribution curve, somewhere closer to that gamma wall. And then an auction fade. So that's my term, because Dalton didn't really have those. And I found a lot of them in my commodities. It's like very two-sided, right? So I'm like, I need a name for this. Well, if we had a sustained auction, successful auction, well, now we're fading the auction. We're not failing it because we've already succeeded, right? We're outside. We're miles away from the initial balance. How do we call this? So I said auction fade. We're fading the auction, right? So, all of those things actually helped me to be more confident. I don't know whether you're maybe more scalper type. I feel that if I'm a scalper and I don't have a name for every scalp that I do, and I have names for them as well. I swear I could hear a cricket in here. And there are crickets out the back. So did one of them make it into the office? I think one of them made it into the office. I literally hear like... Is that the grasshoppering sign? It's like, D, you're grasshoppering. It's chirping at me. Going, D, 2 trades for the Euro trade. What the hell? Yeah, so maybe try going to the systematic side of things and look at your stats. Try and find some comfort in that. And if that doesn't work, yeah, just take some time off, man. I mean, you've been trading for 2 decades, so you know how July and August can get. Maybe the best thing you can do is just to step away for a few weeks, come back in September with fresh eyes, fresh mind, and see whether you feel better. But yeah, I have had days when I'm up on the day, but I kind of feel like I've mistimed it. And just because I'm able to read the market fairly well when things are moving, I sort of manage to be up on the day. It's a very precarious situation, but you never, as pro traders, you're never going to have like, oh, now I'm successful. Like, that's it. It always goes through ebbs and flows. It's like, now you suck, now you're great, now you're smashing it, absolutely looking like an absolute God's gift to trading community. But on some days you look like an absolute muppet, and you're like, okay, I'll roll with that. Why not? What is the crime? Maybe he's moving to beat the Aussie winter. Well, yeah, winter is already in the full swing over there, right? Black Star Entertainment says, D, do you use an online trading journal? Yes, I use Edgewonk. I like the fact that in Edgewonk you can get custom setups. If you go to my YouTube channel, so that's kindly underneath this video. And underneath any video, long form video that I've done, I always have all of the tools that I use. All of the tools that I use. And I'm actually going to add Mentor Q on there as well. But yeah, if you want to get a little bit of money off Edgewonk, I do have a little link in there. So try and check it out. We have somebody saying to Jim, have a luxury holiday in the Maldives, then come back. I mean, to be honest, even a staycation would do. Like, for example, right now I love our new home, right? And even when it's raining like today, it's still a beautiful home. Like, I just don't want to go anywhere. Like, it's a very bizarre thing after living in a Victorian cottage, which was nice. That was a nice house, but this one is just... everything matches our lifestyle. It's single story. We have a private dog field. We have a big garden. We have you know, everything that we need, literally. So I don't want to go anywhere. So yeah, even a staycation will work, just as long as you don't look at the charts, right? So you have to, like, I don't know, put your computer in one of those boxes to not snack on things. I don't know whether they do them for computers, or just ask your wife or your partner to lock up your office and hide the key somewhere so you can't go in there. But yeah, maybe look at the journaling side, because data has always been a huge comfort to me, and it also exposes some of the areas that maybe are not doing as well as you might think they are. You might have high accuracy, but perhaps you've slipped somewhere. Maybe, you know, your confidence in timing has slipped, or like I said, it could be just pure burnout, where you see a setup and you're just like, oh, okay, fine, I'll take it. I'll be, you know, how do the British say? Twist that rubber arm? Yeah, I'll do another trade. It's fine. So yeah, it could just be burnout. It could be just, you know, the fact that you've been at it for so long. Yeah, time for a break, right? Is it time to exit the trade? Well, not quite yet. Again, if we were doing this for a longer time, I would actually wait for the LME to open. This is where my longer hold times come into play, where if I'm in a trade and I think it has a potential to keep going, you know, slightly bigger stop might enable me to withstand any moves against it. And then when it pops, I get the whole lot, and that kind of matters to me more than grabbing a few bits here and there. And, you know, it's still struggling around 33.25. It's the wrong time of day. I said it at the beginning of the stream. We have a weird sort of 90 minutes, 2 hours, when LME is not trading. So we usually get a move before then, and then it gets stuck. And then nothing much of significance happens until we get into LME. So usually if I'm not doing a live stream, or if I am doing a live stream, but I'm also trading like DAX, for example, because my day used to look very different before the Euro trade and before the London Open, because it used to be called London Open. So basically I would trade just DAX in the morning, and I would start trading it around 90 minutes into the London session, and then I would do, like, you know, a couple of trades in between 9:30 till 11:30, and then I would close that and go and do something else for 2 hours. After that, I would get into gold, copper, or platinum, or natural gas, crude oil, gasoline futures. Depends on what's moving, right? So I would decide which of those look better and then trade that for the middle part of my day. And then towards the end of the day, if I was up on the day, I would actually trade one of the equities. So I would trade the US equities, either YM, ES, and back in the day I traded NQ as well before it went absolutely bonkers. So yeah, that would be my day. You know, I had a product for each part of the day. So one of the challenges that I've had on the Euro trade is that we don't have DAX. So I don't have my main product for this time of the day. Second of all, I really didn't have much experience trading metals in London. And actually it was Carl Hungers who told me, have a look at copper, mate. And I did, and I loved it. You know, I kissed copper and I liked it. I kissed copper and I liked it. Katy Perry version, yeah. And yeah, so yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Looking forward to the day when DAX arrives in Topstep. That'll be a big day, big day. Let's throw a party. Did I discuss S&P? I did not discuss S&P because, frankly, I don't really trade ES for this time of day. I can have a look at it. Up and to the right until tariffs, and then all hell breaks loose. How does that sound? To me, this looks bullflaggy. I don't know. 1 week. What do we have? We opened with a gap up, closed it, then pull back. Oh, look, more buyers have turned up. Is this going to be a range? That's the big thing. So we have yesterday's high at 64.58. We have a core resistance at 64.50. It's probably going to reach that, right? Is it going to go higher? It might. But yeah, so they've just kicked the bucket down the road for the tariffs for another 90 days. I don't know, after tariffs, things might not look as rosy on equities, but for now, this could be a consolidation ahead of some big releases. So I don't think we're going to see much today. There is a small chance that they go into an unwinding of positions ahead of tomorrow's FOMC. And obviously it's NFP week as well. So we have two massive releases. I don't think they're going to change rates. How the market participants are going to decipher that is another matter. Because if they see it as a bad thing, as the Fed not being proactive, we could see a big smash in the opposite direction, right? But if they think, oh, actually they're still, if they trust Powell, that they're just in observation mode until things change, and that they're within our 2% target, dual mandate. Good evening. Good afternoon. So that's usually what he says. So maybe we can bet on what the Powell says. Yeah, that could be a better trade. But yeah, I think until NFP comes out, we're not going to see anything market moving. Maybe a lot of whipsaws for sure, especially during the press conference when he's yapping. But yeah, I don't think this is the best week to be looking at some, huge moves. And the daily chart kind of speaks to that. We're already stuck in a range, right? So we started with that gap, and we're not. Maybe if we go into a higher high and then hold, or we start breaking out of the consolidation effectively. But if we look on the 4-hour chart, what does that look like? I mean, it's not exactly looking that great, is it? We have a supply up here. It's a bull trend, though. It's a bull trend, so careful with supplies. All supplies get broken in uptrends. And we are sitting in all-time highs. We have a demand here. So that's basically the two areas. If we don't break them, then we're just going to stay stuck between 64.50 and 6,400. Nice round number. They can even whip through that and then come back. So you're really looking for a sustained move outside of this range. That's what you want to see. If we don't get that, then just range high, range low. Try to look for liquidity sweeps and play that. But yeah, that's your ES. Let's finish it up on that. I'm still going to stay in this trade for a little while longer to see whether they can whip it up for the LME. If not, that's fine. I'm probably not going to trade more today. Tuesdays have been a bit sucky for me. Just want to put that out there. And with the summertime, with Tuesdays not being the best days for me personally, I think I'm just going to have an easy day. So I will come back for lunchbox trading for a bit of a chit-chat with Anne-Marie and Hogue. And then tomorrow we have our big VIP draft. And then we have Anne-Marie's VIP draft on Thursday as well. But yeah, you'll see me a little bit more on the main broadcast this particular week. That's all I have for you today, my lovely grasshoppers and other creatures. This has been the Eurotrade. Yeah, just take it easy this week, guys. Honestly, it's the summertime. It's a big release week. We have FMC, we have NFP. You don't want to be, digging huge holes that you can't get out of before those numbers are out of the way. So if they move the market, that's fine. If they don't, also be fine with it. Go into the accounts that don't matter to you. So for a lot of you, that would be like some kind of a practice account. And don't fret, markets will be here. We're just in this weird time of the year. The previous couple of years, even 3 years, they were not the norms. You do not get massive movement in the summertime. You really don't. So keep that in mind. Save your mental capital. Jim, take some time off, man. You know, don't neglect that mental health side of things. It's very important for everybody. Anyways, that's all from me. I'm Marcus Stoker D, and this has been the Eurotrade on Topstep TV. Let's see what this week brings. I will see you a little bit later. Take care.